Well, in this video, I'm gonna see if I can kill the weeds in the yard in 7 days or less using just one product. I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm gonna do. We're gonna spray the weeds and we're gonna see if it works on video. And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, we'll know that it didn't work. I think this is an exciting challenge because this is something I've been spraying on my customers' yards as a one-stop solution to kill just about all the weeds in the yard. And maybe I can show you maybe an exception of a weed that it's not gonna kill, but it's gonna get the vast majority of them, I believe, but I wanna see it for myself on video. Let's try it out. I'm gonna show you the product, I'm gonna show you the weeds, I'm gonna show you which weeds is gonna kill and maybe that one that it's not gonna kill, or there might be one or two. And then we'll test it out to see how well it works. Now, from a distance, this yard looks pretty good. It's a Bermuda grass, but if you get a little closer down to the edges, you're gonna see something that you can really see from a distance, and that's tons of weeds in this yard. Now, a lot of them are up around the edge here, and we've got weeds down here on the ground. Looks like some spurge showing up there. We got broadleaf weeds. We got nut sedge growing in the yard. So there's plenty of weeds here, particularly in this one area. I mean, weeds. They're just more weeds. And look at that one. Now this might be one that I'm afraid it might not kill, but hopefully we'll get some good control over. And it's called Virginia buttonweed. Now we can suppress it, but it's gonna be very difficult to actually kill. If I could show you one more weed that's probably not gonna die from today's application, it's gonna be Dallas grass. This is a perennial grassy weed. It's not impossible to control, but probably not gonna be controlled with today's application. But again, just to prove a point, weeds all in here. Hard to see from a distance, but when you get down a little bit close, you can see that the weeds are there. And today's video is sponsored by Graham Spray Equipment. I run a weed control and fertilization business, and I trust my business to Graham Spray Equipment. They're based out of Douglasville, Georgia. If you need a spray rig, go to grahamse.com or give those guys a call. So here's two products. Again, we're just gonna be using one of these two, and I've already got it mixed up, and I'm gonna tell you the difference between these two. Now these are Southside and Southpaw. At the time of this video, both are fairly new to the market. Now hence the name Southpaw, Southside. These are gonna be better for your warm season grasses, and that's one thing I like. I can use them on Bermuda zoysia, centipede, St. Augustine. Don't use them on Bahia grass. But you'll see they have the sulfosulfuron in there and then metsulfuron, and then the Southpaw adds dicamba to that where the Southside does not. So the difference is this bottle here is somewhere in the neighborhood of $100. This one, it might be like $300 or $400. I'm not exactly sure. Now you say, oh, well, this one's cheaper. Well, actually per application, this one is cheaper per 1,000 square feet, but this one's formulated where it's a lot easier to mix up in a small container like that. Practically speaking, I like to use this one for spot treating in like a little handheld mixture because you can use it for that. This one, I use it more for blanket applications, and sometimes I'll even add change up to the mix so that I can be even more effective on broadleaf weeds. But these, the active ingredient there, sulfosulfuron, is the same active ingredient as in Certainty, so that's going to give us good control on sedges and even some grassy weeds. And then the metsulfuron can help on the broadleaf weeds, especially when you add the dicamba like Southpaw, or if I add change up to this one. So with change up added to this one or just this one alone, then you're going to get great results. Broadleaf weeds, grassy weeds, and sedges. I've got this one mixed up already. I've got a little bit of change up in there in the tank. So we're going to spray it and see if we can control all the weeds in the lawn. Now without the change up, I said one product. Without the change up, it still should give really good results. I just think with the change up, I'm going to get even faster, better results, especially on the broadleaf weeds. Another thing to show you in this video is we've got what's both purple nut sedge here, a little bit darker leaf, and doesn't grow quite as upright as the yellow nut sedge, which has this lighter colored leaf and has a little sharper point on the end. Not sharp, but it just comes to a finer point and grows more upright. So we're going to spray both of those in this application and see what kind of results we get. And the reason we do this from a lawn care perspective is simplicity. One, just having one product we can spray that's going to control a lot of weeds, but also efficiency. I want to go over the yard one time, spray it, and be done, and not have to spray it and then go back and spot treat the sedges. This product hopefully can get it at a relatively inexpensive price per application. I understand the cost of the bottle is a little bit more expensive, but for somebody like me that's doing this for a business, the efficiency and the cost per 1,000 square feet is important to me. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna spray some over here in this area and maybe along the edge in this area, and we're gonna see if we can knock out the vast majority of these weeds. Now I've got this mixed up in a ride-on machine today, the Southside, and I'm gonna apply, you could apply it with a handheld or whatever, but this is what I'm using. Actually, that probably is gonna be hard to mix in a handheld because of the ratio. The Southpaw would be much easier to do in a handheld sprayer. We got it sprayed. I actually sprayed this one little strip on the other side of the driveway that had tons of sedges so we can see how it works on that. And I also left a part of it unsprayed so we can compare what's been sprayed, what hadn't been sprayed. We'll check back soon on the results. All right, it's about 36 hours in after the application, day and a half later, and I want to show you the weeds and show you what we're dealing with. Now, I didn't mow the grass today, but along the edge where the most of the weeds were, I didn't mow the grass. So we're going to see those and see what kind of results we're getting. Now, a lot of the broadleaf weed action is going to be from the change-up that was mixed in there with it. Maybe a little bit for the metsulfuron, but it's going to be a little slower to work. So this is what we're showing you, and I just wanted to show you kind of the fast results. You can see the wilting of the broadleaf weeds. Now the sedges, not going to see near as much happen with those. So initially, like I said, we're getting some wilting, and it'll be interesting to see ones that were like over here. Let's just say that one there, they got cut with a lawnmower. Will it grow back at all, or will it just stay there? So we'll probably be able to compare the ones that were mowed versus the ones that were not mowed, and then also the broadleaf weeds versus the sedges in this situation. All right, we'll check back later and see what's going on. I think we're gonna get some pretty fast results on the broadleaf weeds. The sedges probably take a little bit longer. All right, checking in. We're about a week into the application. I want to show you the weeds that hadn't been sprayed, show you the ones that have sprayed, and see if we can draw some conclusions. So as we get over here, areas that hadn't been sprayed, you can see there, it looks like some kalinga, some broadleaf weeds. You can see what they look like. And this is the area that hadn't been mowed or anything, showing some very healthy weeds. And I wanted to draw some conclusions on this video because I need to cut the grass again. It's rained a lot and the grass is growing like crazy. So look what we got with the Virginia buttonweed. So definitely some results. I think it might continue to look worse over the next few days, but didn't knock it out for sure, and it's gonna come back. But look at these other broadleaf weeds. You can see what those are like. I feel very confident when this grass is cut that those weeds aren't growing back. Matter of fact, you can look kind of an overview of the lawn here. The brown stuff's just clumps of grass because it was too tall when we mowed it. But you can look, there's virtually no weeds in the yard. I mean, so the ones that were sprayed and mowed, they just don't come back. So let me get a little closer look. You can see that they're here. You just can't hardly see them, and they're dying. And so when it mowed the grass, it was all weeds all in here, and they stopped growing. Same thing will happen with these. As soon as the grass is cut, you can see how they look. The sedges, you can see how they're starting to yellow out and discolor. But you notice the thing I'm seeing is as I look out here in the part that's been mowed, I don't see any sedges. Now, did the sedges disappear? No, they didn't disappear. They just stopped growing. Now look, the little clump of Dallas grass, you know, didn't do a whole lot to that, and that's understandable. I didn't think it would. But I just wanted to show you what happens. You know, again, they don't disappear. They just get sick, you mow them, they die. And even the sedges, if they're not dead, they're not growing. So literally, as I look over this yard, you can't hardly see any weeds except for that one little clump of Dallas grass. And that's what we were going for, because it had, I'm gonna say, hundreds of weeds out here 1 week ago. So what I like about this is fast results. You know, I can spray it with the Southside. I added the change-up. It had a metsulfuron in it already. I think we would have got good results, honestly, just with the Southside, but adding the methyl would definitely give us some faster results and probably a little bit better results on the broadleaf weed control. I guess we could have tested it side by side with the change-up and without the change-up. Got it right that time. So hopefully this is an idea of what I'm out doing to my customers' lawns right now, and spraying late spring. I hear spraying, you got nut sedge everywhere. Instead of just blanket appling broadleaf product and then walk around spraying the sedges, sometimes it's just easier just to ride the yard and spray it with something that'll knock just about everything out except for, of course, some of those perennial grassy weeds, which are tough. And the Virginia buttonweed, we gave it a best punch, and and suppressed it a little bit, but didn't kill it. So hope these kind of videos are helpful for you. I got a couple things that I just started not too long ago. One is a homeowner course to teach you how to have a Bermuda Zoysia lawn. There's a link in the description for that. The other is a coaching program, doing like a 1-year mentorship for those that want to have a business like I do for warm season turf. So if you're in an area with Bermuda Zoysia, Centipede, St. Augustine lawns, you want a mentor for 1 year, and what that includes is access to me. You can come ride with me for the day. You get all the courses. We have 2 live training calls a month. All that is available, and you can book a free 15-minute call with the link in the description. If you want to check that out, you can talk to me. We'll see if it's a fit or not, whether you want to move forward. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.